Hey guys, it's Ted Bogard. Welcome back to one of my favorite shows of the week, Real Estate 411, with my very dear friend and realtor, real estate guru, I don't know, Mr. Hawaiian Vibe and Walt
Guru.
Key. He's the man with all the answers, so much insight. Always great to have you back on the Ted Show. Walt, welcome. How are you?
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm glad everybody's feeling a little bit warmer today.
Yes.
These last few days have been a roller coaster.
Last night was not happy, and then this morning I was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
But I liked we were talking before we went live, the little 71-degree weather I had the other day.
That was nice.
It was sunny, and I sat outside. I was in a tux, if you can believe it, and sat outside, and I was so comfortable. It felt so good. But yeah. I'm hoping we're on a warming path. Please don't, no more super cold.
Puxatawny Phil said 6 more weeks of weather. So somebody fried out little critter on barbecue.
Phil, go back to your hole.
You know what? Phil is actually, I'm a nerd. I can't help myself. Statistically speaking, he's only been accurate about 33% of the time. So the heck with that little rodent.
It's all the pomp and circumstance.
It's all
it ain't that bad. All right. So for those people who don't know you, Walt, tell them all about you.
Oh my gosh. Schmuck in a Hawaiian shirt. Love to help people. I do a little real estate, a lot of real estate, I guess. Wrote a book, coached some agents. Anything to do with real estate, I'm in it. I'm a former real estate investor. I don't do a ton of investing anymore. My goal is always just to help people succeed. And I found that I really like helping real estate people succeed. So I do a lot of coaching and mentoring and training of other agents.
And you do a phenomenal job. You have a little class, and by little, I mean you have a big class going on right now. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we just did, actually earlier today, we did our second accountability call for our 100K and 100 days challenge. So we launched it about a month ago. We do an accountability call every other Friday. So this was the second accountability call as of the day we're recording this. And super fun. And man, every time we launch the challenge, I say the same thing. And I hope, like, after the call is over, I'm like, man, I hope they prove me wrong this time. And then a month in, I go, nope, they didn't prove me wrong. So what I mean by that is, right, it's amazing how many agents want to be successful, but they don't want to do the work that success requires.
Correct.
I had about 80 people signed up for the launch of the challenge. 50-ish showed up for the launch. 2-week account or the second accountability call. So we're about 1 month into the challenge. 13 people on the call.
Wow.
From 80 registered to 13 on the call. That 80-20 rule just continues to prove me right. And I say it every time. Listen, I can't do the work for you. I'm going to give you the knowledge, give you the tools, give you the resources. I'm going to lay out the whole plan for you. All I need you to do is use it.
What do you think the why is there? I mean, this is a coaching moment. What's the why? Why are people afraid, or are they? What is it?
There are 3 fears that I believe, if not all 3, then at least one of the 3 affect almost everybody. Right? Fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, and fear of success. And fear of the unknown, probably relatively understandable. Like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm scared to do it, therefore I don't do it. Right. And because I don't do it, I don't learn from it, and therefore I never get anywhere. That's a real thing. Fear of rejection. Even though it's a random stranger that I'm probably going to talk to, and if they don't like me, I'll never interact with them again, I'll feel bad if they tell me no. So I just won't ask. And therefore I get nowhere. And then the third one is a little bit more deceptive, but it gets people. Fear of success. They try something and it starts to work, and they're starting to see some traction. And because they're almost afraid of what changes they might have to make with their life in order to hold on to that level of success, they throttle back and they self-sabotage, because even though it was working and I could see the results, what are all of the cascading effects of me being more successful, having more money, changing my life on it? Then I got to keep up with it. And now, like, right? And so those 3 things, fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of success, I think account for 99% of why agents or lenders, for that matter, don't execute a plan. The other 1% at this point is simply they don't know what to do. I used to say that it was kind of a 50-50, right? A bunch of people don't know what to do and a bunch of people know what to do and they don't do it. But honestly, in a situation like the challenge, every single one of them knows what to do because we give them all the training, the knowledge, the tools, the resources, the coaching, the scripts, the templates, the everything. So they can't say, well, I didn't know how to do it. I just didn't do it. And so then it falls into one of those three categories.
It's so
we were talking about that a little bit today on the call.
I was good. I'm sorry, you're delayed. I didn't mean to sound like I was cutting you off. I apologize. Maybe it's because I'm getting a little more cantankerous in my old age. But I feel like I used to think people were caught up in those three fears. And I still believe the majority are. But I'm actually running into people who just don't want to do the work. They're of a certain age group and they actually choose. It's not that they can't. They don't really have a big, giant fear. They're just like, I'm not doing that. I should have the success just because of me and who I am and how many followers I have on social media. And so I'm running into more and more of those people who say that they want to do stuff, but they don't want to do anything that anybody's teaching.
Yeah.
So, or they don't want to go to an educational event, AKA like your 100-day challenge. Well, I already know everything I need to know. I don't feel like being held accountable. There's a big chunk of people who have shifted to that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's an interesting little world because you and I both do so many events and we are constantly either coaching or offering coaching or education or whatever it is to make connections. And I'm finding more and more people just point blank telling me, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing any coach, any mentor, any trainer can do to fix that.
You can't.
That's up in the noodle. Like you can't fix that.
I know.
I see that sometimes as well. And I used to try really, really hard to change their mind, to give them something else to think about. I took that on myself to say, well, how do I break through to them and help them understand that what they've always done hasn't worked so far. Therefore, what they've always done isn't going to magically start working. They got to do something else. And they don't want to, but if they want to be successful, they have to do the work that requires. And eventually, I'm the same way with you and a little longer in the tooth. And I got to a point where I'm like, I will freely give you my knowledge, my tools, my resources, my experience. I will show you exactly how I do things and how I close deals and how I make money and all the fun stuff. And if at any point you're going, fine.
Yep.
That's not going to hurt me. I'm trying to help, but I cannot do it for you. There is an aspect of that in our culture. And I would argue that without being the old boomers in the room, right? There is a generation or two that seem to have more prevalence of that. But I also think that there are older generations that fall into that trap as well.
Oh, sure.
And it's an interesting mindset to go, things aren't working for me. Well, here's some things you could do that will work because I do it and it works. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to. It's like my 2-year-old grandson. I don't want to.
And you say, okay, well,
weirdest, craziest thing.
What do you want to do? Because what you're doing is not working. You got to do something different.
Oh, Jesus.
Here's 25 options. Let's narrow down a few. Nah.
You know, and I hate to sound like a boomer because Stacy swears I'm a boomer, but I feel like I'm more whatever the one after that is, Gen X. But I feel like doom scrolling is a real thing. I feel like there are so many distractions. And so, and then people see other people doing it, not understanding that there's work going into what they did, but they make it look easy because it happens to be a 30-second clip on TikTok or wherever. And so they don't realize there is a lot of work that goes into all of that stuff that people are putting out there. There's a lot of work into the planning that you do for your 100 days. You had to think it through and then you have to execute it and you had to have done it in order for you to teach about it. And I think people just think, well, if Walt can do it, I'll go ahead and advertise on Facebook Marketplace. I'm sure I'll get the same results that Walt does.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people, especially social media these days, everyone hears things like, got to be on social media, got to use social media, got to leverage social media. And what happens is they spend hours consuming social media,
Correct.
which is not helpful at all to your psyche or your business. Correct. What you need to understand, and this is hard for some people, I've had this conversation with many people, you should be using your social media as a tool. You are the producer of the social media. You are not the consumer of the social media. Those who consume social media are misguided, depressed, downtrodden. They're not doing anything. They're just spending hours in a loop. Consuming social media is actually not very healthy. If you're going to be successful leveraging social media, you have to become a producer of social media, not a consumer of social media. And that's just the reality of it. A lot of people don't understand that, and it takes some time for them to realize, like, not to brag, I'm just sharing some data so people understand what I'm talking about. Right now, if I were to go to my social media profile and I was in my Facebook dashboard and look at my insights, I'm probably somewhere around 850, 900,000 views in the last 28 days. That might sound like I'm spending hours and hours and hours on social media because, oh my gosh, he's almost 1 million views. I have regimented specific times that I'm on social media.
Correct.
And if you were to aggregate all of the time I'm on Facebook, at most 2 hours a day. Yeah. I mean, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
And, I'd say 70% of that time is either putting content out.
Correct.
Or responding to the comments of the content I put out, which Correct. In and of itself is kind of engaging the conversation, right? If you're just doing this with your phone, you're not being productive on social media. Stop, get off of it. I'd rather you not be on it at all than just waste time on it.
Correct. Well, and I think you're right. I love that analogy. It's the truth. It's the consumption does not equate to an actionable item or something that's going to drive the needle a little further. And so we all take it in. I get referrals off of social media. And sometimes when I happen to have a few minutes and I'm scrolling, I will get a referral. I'll find somebody. I've got somebody I'm working on a land deal with right now. And she posted in a mastermind group, who can do land? And I happen to see it.
There you go.
But I'm not the type, and I think a lot of people are, they can tell me everything that's going on in my social media because they actually physically take time to go to people's profiles and look. I let the Facebook gods tell me what I'm supposed to look for unless it's something specific because I don't have the time to do that. But a lot of people they'll go, well, didn't you see what so-and-so posted? I'm like, nope, I sure didn't. Or people get mad at me. You didn't see my post. You didn't comment on it. Well, did you tag me? Because if you didn't, chances of me seeing your post are slim to none. But you're right. The consumption is something that people, I think, equate with, oh, I must be doing something good on social media all the time, but there's nothing actionable.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
So I got us off a tangent that I know we weren't planning on. So I'm sorry. I don't know why, but that was on my mind. And as soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, I got to talk about this.
Yeah.
What else did you have on the plate?
So I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people, I know we have 15 minutes or so here. We want to keep these short and digestible. As we talk about business plans and strategies and coaching and, how do we go grow a business? I think a lot of people focus on the wrong thing initially. And so, I'm using the 100K challenge as an example because it's the way I do business and it's worked very well for me. So I know that it's functional that way. A lot of people want to think about how do I close those deals and how do I generate those leads and how do I do the things, but they don't stop and put together a clear, actionable plan first. So for those who know me outside of real estate, I'm also a firearms instructor. I'm a 21-year Navy veteran. I'm a pretty good shooter. I teach people to shoot. I also throw knives. I throw hatchets, like dangerous things. I like to play with them, right? And so this analogy that I've always taught agents, if you don't have a target, you will miss it every time.
Exactly.
And people are like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, how can you want to know about lead generation strategies and how to grow your business and how to make more money, but what are you doing it for? What are you aiming at?
Right.
And so a lot of people miss that, and they want to chase the next shiny object of lead generation, but they don't even know. Like I ask agents all the time, like, what are your goals for 2026? Close more deals. That is not a target. You will miss it every time. What's your goal for 2026? Make more money than I did last year. That is not a target. You can't plan from that. Right. So even in my 100K challenge, right, we have 5 core strategies that we teach them to execute, and there's accountability and there's consistency and there's follow up and there's all the other stuff. There's a lot involved. The very first thing I tell every agent that joins our challenge to do, the very first thing, go to the recorded business planning for real estate coaching call. And while you're watching the recording, open up the business planning for real estate workbook. Yes, there's a workbook because it's that important. And build your plan. How much money do I want to make? How many deals do I have to close in order to make that money? What's the milestones I'm going to track consistently so I know I'm moving in the right direction of my target? Right. Now, after I've built out some structure about what I'm trying to accomplish and how I know I'm going to be accomplishing it, now we can talk about which specific strategies are we going to execute. Yes. What day are we going to execute them? What hour of that day am I putting it on my calendar? When am I following up? Or all of the other stuff. But you have to start with a very clear and attainable target with a roadmap of actions that walk you towards it, or you're going to just flounder. There's no amount of lead generation you can do that makes up for not knowing what the hell you're trying to accomplish.
Correct.
That's a big piece of it.
It's, I think people, like, when I listen to you, when I hear you, what I'm also hearing at the same time are the objections to that people obviously probably give you too. And my comment, you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's very powerful. What you're doing isn't working. So why are you not listening to somebody who's got a proven track record, AKA you, and I don't know, try a piece of it. If the whole thing is not digestible, take a piece of what Walt's offering or a piece of something that someone, your coach, is offering, and utilize that and take the baby steps with it. Because, a lot of people get caught up in, okay, well, that sounds great, but there's 95 different ways that you told me to make money. And yes, I'd love to make money in 95 different ways, but I can't even figure out how to get out of bed in the morning and brush my teeth. So take it in a small chunk if that's what you have to do to move forward.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is so true. And I, every single day, am arguing, for lack of a better word, or challenging, I guess, people who say, well, I couldn't do that. I like what I do. And then my comment always is, well, how is that working out for you?
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's not, which is why they're asking me for advice or input or insights.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times, again, just based on my own personal experience of coaching agents, a lot of times someone will say, well, these are the things I do for my business. And I'll say, okay, tell me more about that. And what you actually want, when you peel that onion of like, I have my own things I want to do. Okay, Let's talk about it. When are you doing it?
Yep.
How often are you doing it? Tell me about your consistency in executing the strategy you're telling me you do. And that is where the house of cards start to fold really fast, because they're like, well, I'm very active on social media. Okay. What content are you posting? Yeah. When are you posting it? How consistently are you posting it? And then they go, well, I'm on social media.
Well, active is the consumption you meant. The active is consumption that you talked about earlier.
Exactly.
That's really what most of them do.
Let's take it off social media, right? Let's say, well, I call FSBOs and expireds. That can be very productive. Tell me more about that. When was the last time you spoke to a FSBO? I called a few last month. How did those conversations go? Well, I called 3 and 2 didn't answer their phone, and 1 was nice, but I didn't really know what to say.
Yep.
Did you follow up with the 2 that didn't answer their phone? No. Why did you not know what to say to the first one? Did no one ever teach you how to add value there? Like, well, I watched the YouTube video and the guy, it didn't really work for me.
Right.
Okay, so what you're telling me you do, you're not actually doing. Consistency matters so much in this industry. And calling a FSBO or two last month is not, I call FSBOs. Calling an expired listing, group for an hour and talking to 4 people and getting 3 no's last month is not, I call expireds. You called expireds, right? You don't call expireds. You call it. There's no consistency there. And no matter what strategy you're choosing to use to grow your business, more than the strategy, more than the script, more than the framework, more than the template, the consistency of the action matters so much more than the quality of the action. Agreed. And I know it sounds weird where we all want to have quality, but
no,
consistency of lead generation and follow-up's a big one, matters actually more than the quality of your follow-up.
Agreed.
I mean, people lose that.
Agree. One of my pet peeves, and with anyone that I work with, it almost always boils down to consistency and follow-up. And people really underestimate the value of both of those. It's very hard to find real estate professionals, and I'll say in lending, in real estate, and pick a category of people who want to consistently follow up. If I'm your partner in any way, shape, or form, and I'm constantly the one doing the follow-up, it becomes a red flag to me. And so I'm very particular about that, probably persnickety and probably bitchy.
Yeah. And I think, again, to circle it all the way back around to what we talked at the beginning, I've had this conversation about follow-up with a lot of people. Yep. And their question always, it goes back to the fears. Their question, the answer to my question about your follow-up is, well, I just don't know what to say. So I say nothing because I'm afraid I'll say it wrong. I'm afraid they won't respond well to what I say, right? It becomes back to those fear aspects. And so they do nothing. And I tell them, listen, it's the consistency of the follow-up, not the quality of the follow-up. And I'll give an example. I say, here's an example. Every time you generate a new lead, every time you have a new conversation, every time someone goes in your database, here's the easiest follow-up on the planet. Every other Friday, text your people, happy Friday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. What do you have planned? The end.
Yep.
Every other Monday on the alternating week, happy Monday. I hope you have an amazing week. Do you have anything going on?
Yeah.
The end.
Yep. They complicate it.
They're like, well, I have to craft the soliloquy of real estate so they can enhance the neurotransmitter in their brain. And no, just be in front of them so that when they think of real estate, you're the first name that comes to mind. It does, your follow-up doesn't even have to be about real estate. How are you? What's new? What are you up to? What are you doing this weekend? Just touch. I drove by your neighborhood on the way to a listing and I immediately thought of you. I just wanted to text you and see how you were doing.
We should do one of these shows because we got to wrap it up because I know you have somewhere to be and I do too. We should do a show on follow-up and consistency. Because I've got things that I teach and I know you do too, that are so simple and so easy. And the complication part that they make it is why they get into that whole analysis paralysis and then do nothing. All right. Well, it's always amazing to talk to you. Tell them how they can reach you and find out more about you.
Google Walt Key Realtor. You will find me everywhere. Look for the Schmuck on Hawaiian shirts. You can also go to Linktree/Walt Key. You'll find all my socials and profiles and contact info. Reach out to me anytime with questions. I'm always happy to help.
And that is absolutely true. I appreciate you so much. You can Walt's little link tree is scrolling across the bottom along with mine, but you can reach out to us on social too. And we'll be back next time on Real Estate 411. Thanks, my friend. We'll see you guys soon. Have a successful week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Dun, 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 dun.